Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for this or any of our watches, email tmosso@the1916company.com for pricing. Today, we discuss the 2013 model launch from the Patek Philippe 5170 chronograph line. This is the 5170G-001, the inaugural white gold Breguet numeral model of a chronograph line that debuted in 2010. So this dial and case metal combination came out in 2013, evolving the species. And as you can see, the timepiece is smaller than the 5070 that preceded it. So 39.4 millimeters in diameter, 11.1 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 47.4 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Out of the hand and onto the wrist, we could put it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it fits quite nicely. It's a flat watch. It will slide under a dress cuff, no issues in that regard. The strap is fairly stiff. It hasn't been broken in, and I'm pulling it fairly tight, so this exaggerates the width of the watch across my wrist. I'll move away a little bit more so you have a better sense of scale. This watch is suitable for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference, and it'll fit even more naturally once the strap has broken in. There's your over-the-top shot, cuff shot one more time, and then the definitive shot, which is down the barrel. The strap, high grade, as Patek straps tend to be. Large, rectangular, symmetrical scale alligator leather, a very expensive and premium cut of the hide. Semi-gloss black, you can see it features a monotone stitch and then in profile a folded edge, calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, a brand new Patek factory strap. Little pull tab spring bars, so you can pop the strap off the case without a tool. We have a folding clasp with the Calatrava cross, the logo of the company on the buckle, and then a spring-based friction fit system. You can see the little radial spring right there. And then it seats up to keep the clasp closed. So this clasp, Patek Philippe, city of origin on the inside, white gold like the watch, or really I should say gray gold. This is a premium type of 18-karat white gold called gray gold. It is white all the way through, and it never needs to be plated with rhodium or any other white metal. We have simple integrated lug profiles. Everything's polished. The case is cylindrical. You can see that the lugs, when viewed end-on, are fairly narrow. We have vintage-inspired, alternately satinated and polished rectangular chronograph pushers. The Calatrava cross again on the crown. You can see the bezel has a vertical face and then a conical face, so it's a double-faceted bezel. We have a sapphire with a little bit of camber to it, a dial that is a lovely sort of matte white. It is definitely white, not silver white, so think Cliffs of Dover. Outboard, we have a pulsation scale. The idea here is if you are a doctor taking a patient's pulse, you start the chronograph when you begin counting the pulses, and when you reach the 15th pulse, so let's say 14, 15, you stop right there, you look on the scale, extrapolated, that's 125 beats per minute. So that's how that chronograph scale works, a pulsation scale, often known as a doctor's scale. You can see this model introduced the Breguet numerals to the 5170 line, a lovely and very special aesthetic. It appears on flagship Patek Philippe watches, and a lateral clutch chronograph certainly is that. Hands and numerals are white gold to resist tarnish or oxidation over time. You can see that the chronograph seconds hand and the instantaneously jumping chronograph minute hand, those are both blackened to distinguish them from the time-telling hands. We have two sunken sub-registers, and each one below the plane of the dial, but you can also see that the center lines of the pinions, they're actually dropped slightly below the center line of the hands at center. So that's one of the distinctive features of this Patek Philippe 29535 caliber. So this is the 29535 PS Petit Second, that is the running second. We have a little rack and a pawl for the instantaneous minute jumper, one barrel manual wind, 65-hour power reserve, 33 joules. 4 beats, or I should say 4 hertz, 8 beats per second, so it's 28,800 vibrations per hour. There is a hacking or stop seconds function, which is easier to activate when your hands aren't gloved, but you can see this does have stop seconds. It has an overcoil hairspring with a very centered mass. Overcoils are considered more premium than silicone hairsprings at Patek, and the combination here of the lateral clutch and the overcoil metallic hairspring considered to be features on the more expensive Patek Philippe watches. So it is a watch adjusted in as many positions as a chronometer, 5 positions, a free-sprung gyromac-style balance for precision of setting. You use little eccentric screws on the spokes of the balance rather than a mobile regulator. Free sprung makes for precise adjustment, but also greater shock resistance. We talked a little bit about this a moment ago. We have a lateral clutch here, and you can see this is the clutch over on the side. It has a driving wheel and an intermediate wheel, and if you are a connoisseur of chronographs, you'll notice that driving wheel, intermediate wheel, and the chronograph center wheel, all three of those have different tooth profiles. So all the chronograph parts, the clutch, the column wheel cap, levers, horns, and recentering hammers, they are in steel. So they're satinated on their top, that is brushed, and then they're beveled on their sides. Now this is a Geneva style column wheel, so you can see it's covered with a black polished cap. And once upon a time that had a functional purpose. Almost all finishing and style started with functional roots. So the idea of the capped column wheel was that the levers and horns couldn't pop out of the crenellated towers under conditions of extreme shock. And so it has a very sharp column wheel feel. It feels outstanding. See the recentering hammers falling right there. Reactivating the chronograph. Again, 65-hour power reserve. All of this 30 meters water resistant, beautifully decorated, bridges and base plate in rhodium plated brass, black polished screws, beveling, Côte de Genève, engine turned perlage on the base plate, all screw heads polished with their slots and circumference chamfered. Truly great stuff, and you can see little features like locating pegs used to locate springs as well as bridges. Those locating pegs have been polished on their top. And of course, this watch with Patek Philippe seal. Reach out, if you love this watch, to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.